Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. The overwhelming majority of letters shared in these videos were written by soldiers and other eyewitnesses, namely nurses, journalists, and dignitaries who commented on campaigns, battles, and the grim aftermath of fighting. I want to share two letters here written by a soldier, a Confederate captain, to his wife that touch on a very different subject and set of emotions, the very real fear that the enemy will invade his home and harm his family. The writer of these letters is Captain William Henry Thomson, commander of Company C of the 1st North Carolina Infantry, which served for much of the war in the 2nd Corps of the Army of Northern Virginia. William is pictured here with his wife, Mary Elizabeth Beeman Thompson, the portrait taken while William was on furlough in 1862, according to the family. William and Mary had three children, all under age 5, a boy and two girls who remained at home with Mary in Sampson County, North Carolina, dividing their time between family and the villages of Turkey and Clinton. For geographical context, Turkey and Clinton are about 30 miles south of Bentonville, a place you students of the Civil War know very well. The letters, written during the waning weeks of the war in the East, found William on the front lines of Petersburg with the remnants of his depleted Tar Heel state brothers facing Union of the Army of the Potomac right in front of him, commanded by Major General George G. Meade and overall Army Commander Lieutenant General Ulysses S. Grant. Though William appreciated the danger he and his men faced right in front of them, he was also deeply concerned about Major General William T. Sherman's army in North Carolina, its columns moving quickly through his home state and headed in the direction of his family right in Sampson County. Letters that he wrote on March 15th and April 1st, 1865, were transcribed and annotated by Matabel Ripley Thompson. That was in 1969, over 100 years after the war ended, and edited and privately published in 1994 by Will Thompson, who kindly shared a copy of the book with me. I owe Will a debt of gratitude for making me aware of William's letters and diary, which are timeless in their expression of a father and a husband desperately worried about his wife and children. Here are the letters. The first is datelined Camp, 1st North Carolina Infantry, March 15th, 1865. My darling wife. My usual time has rolled around for me to write to you. I have very poor encouragement to write, for I don't expect you will ever lay your eyes on it if all is true about the movements of the enemy that we hear. The report is that Schofield is in possession of Goldsboro and that Sherman is at Fayetteville. And if so, there is no communication between this and home. But notwithstanding all this, I can't help writing, thinking maybe you will get it someday or other. Our brigade is still on the line, but not yet with our old division. I am unable to tell when we shall rejoin it. We have spring upon us here, the weather warm and windy, and no rain for the past 5 days worth mentioning. The roads will soon be dry enough for military operations, and I presume will commence just as soon as they are sufficiently dry. I received a letter from you yesterday, written the 8th. I was glad to hear that the Yankees had not then polluted the soil of Sampson with their presence. But, darling, I fear before this that it has been done. I hope if the worst should come, that our people will be prepared and able to meet them as becomes patriots, contending for all that is dear to man, and that there will not be found one who will bend his knee to the despicable puppies. My dear wife, if it should be your lot to come in contact with the wretches, I hope you will meet them finely and self-possessed, never holding any argument or conversation with them except when obliged to, and then to do it in a very respectful manner, but in such a way that they may know that you hate them and wish to have nothing to do with them. I hope, darling, you will take this advice in the spirit in which it is given. I felt it my duty to say something to you on the subject, though I would not be surprised if you were to act with even more discretion than I should. All I can do then is to leave you and the dear children to the protection of God, the ruler of all things, but at the same time, you must claim the protection of Father and your Pa and Ma. With protection, I think, in all human probability, you will be safe. I thought when I commenced this letter that I should mail it here, but I don't believe you would ever get to it. So I will send it by Mr. Wood, father of Dr. Wood of the Third. He lives about Lumberton and will go home soon. That is, if he can get there, and he will contrive to get it to you in some way or other. If the enemy continues to hold our line of communication, you will not hear from me often, but darling, I hope you will bear up under it with fortitude. My anxiety to hear from you too will be greater than any time since the war began, for heretofore you have been out of all danger of the Yankees and living easy comparatively, but now who can tell what may happen? Oh, darling, it is awful to think what might happen, for the Yankees are base enough to do anything, but I will hope for the best treatment Yanks are able to bestow. Darling, never fail to send me a letter through by hand whenever an opportunity offers. I expect that will be the only way in which we can get them through. Give my love to all the families, both fathers and your pa's, and to all my lady friends. Now, darling, may God in his mercy and great goodness take care of you, my dear wife and dear children, and let no harm befall you. Your own devoted husband, William. P.S. I took your bet of 50 kisses and have won. I read all the letter. So you will have to come and give them to me. I shall charge you a kiss a day interest, so I shall have you pretty largely in my debt before you will be able to pay the principal. At least I fear so. Not that I don't want to be the interest, but I'd rather you were able to pay the principal when due. Darling, I am very well. I hope you are as well. The second letter is datelined on the lines near Petersburg, Virginia, April 1st, 1865. My darling wife, it is with troubled and anxious heart that I attempt to write to you this morning, and I fear that my letter will not prove very interesting to you beyond the pleasure of hearing from me and knowing that on the first day of April I was living and health good. I expect to send this letter by a Mr. Wood, who is here on a visit to his son. He starts home next Monday and will go by way of Fayetteville, and I hope from there he will find some means by which to send my letter. I have given him a letter to you over a week ago, not knowing then when he would start. Since that time, he has been in Richmond until yesterday, when he again returned to our camp. He still has the letter I gave him, so it will be old when you get it. I sent one off by mail day before yesterday via Fayetteville. I trust they may all reach you, but I must confess that I think it very doubtful whether they do or not. Darling, I am more than anxious to hear from you, and especially since I have heard that the Yankees have been and are now, in all probability, in Sampson and the vicinity of Clinton and Father's. I well know that if they have been in Clinton and at Father's, that nothing is left of Mr. Beeman, Father, or anyone else except their land and perhaps a few helpless Negroes. Darling, as far as I am concerned individually, the loss of property does not trouble me, but when I think of father and family being reduced to want, and you and my children and your pa and family, it almost runs me mad. I feel as if I could see the last Yankee exterminated without a shudder. I do hope I may hear something reliable from home soon, even if we're bad news. The suspense would not be so great. I stated in my last letter to you that our brigade relieved Scales's Wednesday night during a heavy rain. John Ashford returned on the evening of the next day, wounded through the leg. Just a good 30 days furlough, but the trouble is that he can't get home unless the Yankees leave that section of the country. I did not see John Robinson, but he is well. I saw Daniel Remago, Owen Chestnut, Dave and Andrew McIntyre, etc., all well. We do not expect to remain at this place long. It is thought that Scales's brigade will return in a few days to occupy their old quarters. If they do, we shall move about 1 mile to the left on a portion of the line where we are not over 200 yards from the enemy. Fred Moore and myself are messing together now and are in a house plastered and with glass windows. What do you think of that? Soldiers living in such quarters, and that too in the Army of Northern Virginia. Don't you think we are improving? Colonel Ashford and the rest of the field officers of his regiment have been in a large and fine house all the winter. Colonel Brown was captured last Saturday morning in our attack on the enemy's lines. I fear that he was wounded. If he had not been, I don't think he would have been captured. I believe it was nothing more than a heavy skirmishing. There has been some cannonading in that direction this morning, but nothing like an engagement. Darling, do write me as often as possible. You might send them by way of Fayetteville, I should think. The last letter received from you was written March 11th. I do hope I may get one before many days shall have passed. Give my love to all my friends, and darling, may God bless and protect you and the dear children from harm. This is my daily prayer. Your devoted husband, William. So that's the conclusion of the two letters. Now, I wonder, you must be thinking about what became of William and his family. 8 days after he wrote the second letter, William and a handful of his men were surrendered at Appomattox. William, paroled, made his way home. One can only imagine the thoughts that raced to his mind as he wondered what he would find in Sampson County. Much to his relief, Mary and the kids were unharmed, the family buildings intact. Though the Yankees took all the food they could find, they did not discover hams and other provisions hidden in a secret stairway closet. William and Mary had two more children before Mary died early in life in 1869. William remarried soon after and had 10 children, 10 more children. This was his second wife, Harriet. 8 of those kids lived to maturity. William died in 1924 at age 94. I want to end with a poem written by Mary to William. Though undated, the words indicate she wrote it during the war. It is, I think, a fitting tribute to love in a time of war. Mary writes, I am sitting all alone, my love. The babes have gone to sleep. And I am sad enough, my love, to hide my eyes and weep. For when the friendly day has gone, the lonely night will come. 'Tis sad, so sad, to be alone in a deserted home. First, Bessie came with sunny hair, just like her pa's, and said, with bowed head, her lisping prayer, then went away to bed. Then came little Sally bright, with folded weary wings. She closed her dewy eyes of light, the winsome, sleepy thing. And I am all alone, my love, and how can I refrain from weeping when I think, my love, you may not come again? Yet still I would have had thee here. I rather you wouldst find a glorious grave in battle there than lag a home behind. Then nobly do your duty, love. I'll bear this lonely life. I'll be a brave dead soldier's love before a coward's wife. For though my nights long ages seem and days drag on like years, bright rays of hope still often gleam in beauty through my tears. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of Life on the Civil War, a research trail.